Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America, website thisweekinamerica.us. Thank you for joining us on the program, talking about the new book, Josie Released from Within. Now, it's based on a true story about a young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. Family, security, popularity, beauty, and a bright future. But among the most vulnerable set of circumstances, she faced serious trauma caused by a set of events that would change her life forever. It's an inspiring story covering 3 decades of one's life, a success story with a message for those who struggle with mental illness, and with great insight into the world when it crumbled around her. The name of the new book is called Josie Released from Within. Josie Coghlan back with us on This Week in America. Josie, welcome back to the program. It's great to have you with us.
Hi, Rick. Thanks for having me back. Lovely to talk to you again.
Thank you. Same here. And we had such response with the first program, and you were able to help so many people. We want to sort of pick up the story at this point and talk about your latest venture, which is a very serious chance this could be turned into a major motion picture. And if you would like the full story on Josie, the book is available, Josie Released from Within. The website is josiereleasedfromwithin.com. You can also go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and log on directly to Josie's website. And if you go to thisweekinamerica.us, you'll be able to hear the audio and see the video from the last program that we did. I mentioned growing up was fairly typical for you. It was a large family. Everybody had a good time. And then there was a period there where you were taken advantage of by a relative that literally changed your life from that point on. Tell us a little bit about what happened and the immediate impact that had on your life.
Yeah, I think initially when you're growing up, you're feeling very secure as a young person. So I had a very stable environment. I had 4 brothers, 3 sisters. So lots of interaction and happy times, lots of open spaces, living on a farm. So an environment that was very secure until my older brother and sisters had moved on and made careers for themselves. Mum and Dad, being Catholic and being Christian people, like to help people. And I had a relative that needed a helping hand. So Mum and Dad decided to get him to live with us to help him. But that's something that, when you're young and I was taken advantage of in a situation that wasn't as serious. But at the time when you're young, when you have no negative things going on in your life, it does have a big impact when you're young. So I was only about 14, so it was quite serious for me at that time.
And that led to a lot of problems. Talk a little bit about that, because at the end of this first cycle, there was institutionalization, going to mental hospitals. Talk about, first of all, and you say in the book is called Josie Released from Within, you don't bottle it up, but you don't know that when you're 14 years old. You have a tendency we're not sure how to handle it, so you keep it to yourself. Talk about the next couple of years and then how this led to the mental health issues and being put into a mental hospital.
Yeah, I think at that age, it's when you're confronted with something that's foreign to you and you're not sure of how to deal with things. Often young people, I know myself, by experiencing that, I felt trapped and sort of like chained or trapped within your own body. It's something that unless you talk about things and get that help early, it does, it's like a ripple effect in the sense that I didn't treat that problem as a problem. I thought, oh, I'll just go away, and things like that don't. So from then it was layer after layer with different events happening, different environments, different things coming in that I didn't ask for help either. So when I did need help, it was sort of like when my body stopped functioning, being put into an institution where I had to have serious clinical medical treatment to actually climb back, so to speak, from where I was.
And as you're in the mental institution, you see things that really, again, had an impact, and they, I'm sure to this day, won't go away. A number of suicides, not just a suicide, but a number of suicides. Talk about at a young age, and you could be even older and it would have that type of impact. Talk about the impact that had, actually seeing the suicides.
Yeah, I was 16, so seeing 9 people die by suicide is enough for anybody. I was in a ward where there was 9 people that were in the same ward as I was in. So 2 of those people that died were in sharing a room with me at the time, and I had to be taken away to another hospital at that time where I was very, very ill. And these 2 girls gave me a reason to get well. They wanted me to get well, to come back. But that gave me so much inspiration from them saying that to me, and I did. I got back to that hospital, but returning to find out that 9 people had died, including those 2 beautiful girls, Natalie and Mary, the impact on myself was, I was ready to be released, to go home. And a lot of people would think, well, that would just break you, and it can easily do that. But to me, it sort of gave me an inner determination, because I thought, well, I could have, at my lowest point, which was that time, I could have easily caved in, but it gave me a reason, because I didn't take my life, but I wanted to fight for the reasons why to live.
Our guest on This Week in America is Josie Coghlan. That's spelled Josie, Josie Coghlan. The name of the book is Josie Released from Within. The website, very simple, josiereleasedfromwithin.com. You can log on directly by link up by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. It's a book of living proof that you can make it. And we talk about what was, I think you just described as your lowest period during that period. And you were able to claw back and talk about how you were able to do that. Because at that point, what you've been through, what you just witnessed, how did you claw back? How were you able to be resilient in those circumstances?
That's a really good question, because when you're going through something like that, you grip onto anything. And I always had faith in God. I'm a big believer of having faith in life. And when things get really, really tough, and when you're at your lowest point, it only takes some little thing, like a kind word, or telling yourself inside, I can do this. And sometimes I guess you feel carried, because sometimes you can't, and it's something that we all know. We can't do everything on our own. And I wasn't alone. Even though I felt alone, I was able to hold on to what I had. And I was lucky. I did have support. And these poor people, I don't know what was going on in their lives, but they didn't feel like they had the support that I was lucky enough to have. So I guess that's why I got through.
And then you went through a good period. Talk about the marriage and having a normal life, and then you've got a setback again with the birth of your son.
Yeah, I had a friend from school that knew me quite well, who ended up being my husband, and he is a rock. He is someone that gave me that foundation to say, okay, we can build on this together. And I had all that confidence come back, and that real things were working. I could cope. I was functioning like anybody else would. But unfortunately, with my mental illness, if I'm not treated properly or have the right medication, I'm always vulnerable. So at that time, I had a baby, beautiful boy. But after having my son, it was only a couple of weeks afterwards that things spiraled downwards, and called postnatal depression, where the same similar symptoms, like not sleeping, not functioning, not being able to, the brain was not responding to the rest of my body. So I had to be institutionalised again after being there twice before.
The book is called Josie Released from Within. Josie Coghlan, our guest on This Week in America. Information available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. The full story you can find on our website, the audio and the video from Josie's previous guest appearance on this program. And you can also, of course, read in the book, as so many people have done. It has touched so many people. And I would like to talk about that, how encouraging it has to be to you to be able to get feedback from people that are able to relate to your story and take inspiration from how you've been able to succeed. What does that feel like when you actually are touching people and you're finding out that they're taking your message, and because of that, they're acting on it, and they're beating their mental illness.
Mm. I think when you go out, like I do public speaking, and when you're touching the surface of the water, but then when you really talk about things like mental illness and someone who, like I've lived it, I'm a witness of being there, done that. But what was the best thing for me is to talk and then have someone respond in the audience to say, I can understand where you're coming from and I resonate with you. And one particular guy that I'll never forget, it was a return war Vietnam vet, and he's in a war zone, but he could relate to my war zone in the suicide environment that I was in. And by talking, it actually shows that we can all have compassion for each other, and we were able to connect. Totally different environments, totally different stories, but how inspiring is that? By getting that message out, broadening the audience, and then realising that we're all pretty much the same when it comes down to how we want to be, and it's to be loved and understood.
The book is insightful. It's a powerful story. It has touched a lot of people. The next step in the process is the possibility of a motion picture. And talk about that, because the wheels are turning, right? This process is underway. Talk about maybe making this into a motion picture. I know you've got some ideas in terms of casting it and that type of thing, but you really see this as being a movie that will attract a large audience, and in the process not only be entertainment for many, but really be helpful and a lifeline for a number of people.
Yeah, I'm really hoping because, like I said, broadening the audience. I mean, how many people can you help if you do get onto a silver screen where it's not only childhood depression, taking advantage of postnatal breakdowns, relapses, but it's not all bad, because it gives people hope to know that the story that could be told, and the way that the script is going to be written or has been written is one that is, it's got supernatural themes, it's got a lot of stuff in it that will attract all ages, and the fact that it's real and it's a true story is something that I really want to get out there, because I think it has the most impact if it's something that will relate to probably most people.
Yeah, when you talk about the idea of a movie, what kind of response are you getting? And again, I come back to, and you mentioned that this is a true story. This is not fiction that you sat down to write. And as you're reading the book, you see the hills and the valleys and everything that goes into real life, and you come out triumphant at the end. What kind of response are you getting in terms of making this into a motion picture?
Yeah, it was initially when I was asked to invest in with my publishers. They were really keen for me to do that because they could see the potential in it. So it took me a little while to say, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. But when I saw the script and a few of my close friends and things read it, they could just visualise it, and they're quite emotional as well, knowing that it is true. But right through, I can just imagine, and I had this dream cast that I could just see it being, just to help people would be such a great thing. But more so, it just leaves a real strong message about what we all have to cope with every day. And if we can tap into something like this, I just want people to know that there is hope at the end of the day, and we can find strength through this.
One thing that you really bring out in the book, and the book is called Josie Released from Within. You say, be true to your feelings, speak to someone who can help, don't fight against yourself. Is that one of the big problems when you're talking with people who are going through some of the serious situations that you went through? They try to work out the problems themselves. Maybe they're afraid it's a sign of weakness if they have to go to someone and ask for help. Is that a common problem?
It's a big problem. And I think too is that you've got to be able to forgive yourself, because if you don't go through the process, or at least get someone to help you go through the process of understanding why you're feeling the way you are, when you're able to say, okay, so be it, all the mistakes and all the things that I could have done better, It is in the past, and we have to reflect on the past to get to where we are, to move on. But you've got to understand who you are inside to be able to release within how things do operate for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, as you look back, as you're working on the movie, as people talk to you about the book Josie Released from Within, it was over 3 decades ago. Is there this wisdom that you think you've gained over the years? Is there a different perspective as you look back over your life now?
Yeah, most definitely. I think when you're 16, you're very vulnerable. I think as long as you live, you learn along the way and make mistakes. But I don't think any of us really learn until we get older, and that's where wisdom comes from.
Talk about the power of the serenity prayer. It's something that you talk about in the book Josie Released from Within. Sometimes we maybe overcomplicate things, and as you know, I'm reading that again. It applies in so many circumstances. It's very simple, it's direct, it's to the point, and it was a benefit to you, wasn't it?
Absolutely. That is my life. That I sort of focus on sorting out how I think. If it's like, grant me the serenity to have the courage, to have the wisdom to accept the things I cannot change. And then when you understand that it's out of your control, then you have that wisdom to say that, oh, well, I can't do anything about that. But you have that understanding to know that you've tried, and that gives you permission to then go forward.
When you look at where we are, and we've got a couple minutes left in the program, Josie Coghlan, our guest on the show. The name of her book is Josie Released from Within. The website is josiereleasedfromwithin.com. The era that we're in now, it's a more open era, obviously, than it was 3 decades ago, where people now can openly talk about abuse and how they deal with abuse. They can talk about mental illness and the problems. There's not that stigma. I don't believe that there 3 decades ago that we were dealing with. Is it a more open time now, and does that make it more difficult for people to deal openly with their problems?
I think it's getting a lot better. There's still a big need for it, like with the work that I do with Beyond Blue in Australia, with which is a mental health public speaking organisation. People still need to know how to go about things, and still a real not a willingness to open up as much as some people would like to. So I think it is improving a lot with so much more awareness that we have now, and just to know that it's so common. Like back in with suicide, there's 6 people a day in Australia that die by suicide, and that's incredibly high. And when I experienced what I experienced back when I was 16, it's still happening, and it's something that we will never stop trying to understand how we can find the happiness, but we'll keep going.
Well, yes, and because of people like you and books like Josie Released from Within, it's easier for somebody, and maybe easier is not the correct word, but somebody who is dealing with these problems, they know that there's help there. They know that there was somebody else who went through this same situation or similar situation to what I'm going through, and they really came out of it okay. There is strength that you can find, and you can find it in the book. The book is Josie Released from Within. The website is josiereleasedfromwithin.com. Josie Coghlan, our guest on the program. It is an excellent book. Please keep us posted on the status of the motion picture, and we'll have a premiere party here on the program when it's made into a motion picture. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Thank you.
Oh, no worries, Rick. I really appreciate you giving me the time.
It is our pleasure. The book is Josie Released from Within. Information, of course, available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us.